Before I start this story, I need you to understand something. The Navajo don't talk about skinwalkers, not with outsiders, not even among themselves unless absolutely necessary, because speaking about them, acknowledging them, gives them power, draws their attention. I'm breaking that rule tonight, and I'm doing it because people need to know, need to understand that there are things in this world that shouldn't exist. Things that wear the skins of animals and walk on two legs. Things that used to be human but chose to become something else. Something evil. The Navajo call them Inaldlushii, those who walk on all fours. Witches who gain the power to transform by committing the worst taboos, by killing family members, by desecrating the dead, by embracing darkness so completely that their humanity burns away and leaves only malevolence behind. I met one in 1996, in the high desert of northern Arizona, on the edge of the Navajo Nation, and I'm still not sure I survived. Not really, because part of me stayed out there in the desert that night. The part that believed the world made sense. The part that thought evil was something you could understand and categorize and protect people from. I was wrong. My name is Thomas Hartley. I was 39 years old in 1996, working as a ranger at Canyon de Chelly National Monument. Beautiful place. Sacred place. The Navajo have lived there for thousands of years. The canyon walls hold ancient ruins, petroglyphs, stories carved in stone that predate written history. It's also isolated, remote. The nearest town is Chinle, population maybe 5,000. Once you leave Chinle and head into the backcountry, you're alone. Miles and miles of desert, mesas, canyons. No cell service. No radio contact in the deep canyons. Just you and the land and whatever else is out there. I've been working there for 3 years. Made friends with some of the Navajo Rangers. Learned to respect their customs. Learned that when they told you not to go somewhere after dark, you didn't ask why. You just didn't go. One of those rangers was a man named Joe Begay, 60 years old, born and raised on a reservation. Knew that land like it was part of his body. He taught me things. How to read tracks. How to find water. How to move through the desert without leaving traces. And he warned me, many times, about things I shouldn't do, places I shouldn't go, rules I needed to follow. Never whistle at night, he told me once. It calls them. Calls what? He looked at me for a long moment. Things that listen. Things that answer. Things you don't want to meet. I didn't understand then. Thought it was superstition. Cultural beliefs I should respect but didn't need to fear. I was so goddamn stupid. It happened in late October. I was doing a routine backcountry patrol, checking campsites, documenting archaeological sites, making sure everything was secure before the winter season. Standard 3-day trip. I'd done it dozens of times. On the second night, I was camped in a side canyon about 12 miles from the main visitor area. Good site, sheltered, near a seasonal spring that still had water. I'd set up my tent, started a fire, made dinner. Everything normal, everything routine. Around 9 p.m., I heard a dog barking. Close. Maybe 100 yards up the canyon, which was strange because dogs don't usually run loose that far from settlements. And the bark sounded wrong. Too deep, too deliberate. Like someone trying to imitate a dog's bark without quite understanding how it should sound. I grabbed my flashlight and walked toward the sound. Professional instinct. Could be a lost pet. Could be a coyote, though it didn't sound like any coyote I'd ever heard. I found it about 50 yards from my camp, standing in the middle of the wash. It looked like a dog. Large. Maybe 80 or 90 pounds. Dark fur. But something about it made my skin crawl. It was standing on its hind legs. Not like a dog, standing up to look at something. It was standing upright. Balanced. Comfortable. Like standing on two legs was natural for it. And its front legs, I couldn't call them paws, were hanging at its sides. Long, too long. With joints that bent the wrong way. And its face. God, its face. It had a dog's features. Snout, ears, teeth. But the eyes were wrong. They were too far forward, too focused, too intelligent. and they reflected my flashlight beam with a red glow instead of the normal yellow-green of animal eye shine. We stared at each other for maybe 10 seconds. It tilted its head, studied me, then it smiled. I swear to God it smiled. Lips pulled back to show too many teeth. A human expression on an animal face. Then it spoke, in English, in a voice that sounded like gravel in a blender, like someone who'd learned to make words without understanding how vocal cords should work. Nice camp. Good. Fire. You alone. I ran. Didn't think. Didn't analyze. Just ran back to my camp. Every instinct I had screaming at me that I'd just seen something that shouldn't exist. Something wrong. Something evil. I dove into my tent, zipped it shut, like nylon fabric could protect me from whatever that thing was. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely work the zipper. Outside, I heard it moving, not on 4 legs, on 2, walking upright, circling my camp, and humming, a tuneless, a rhythmic humming that set my teeth on edge. Then it spoke again, from right outside my tent, so close I could hear it breathing. Why, you run. I friendly. Want to talk. Each word was separated by a pause, like it was translating thoughts into speech. Like English wasn't its native language, or like language itself wasn't natural for it anymore. I didn't answer. Remember Joe's warnings. Don't acknowledge them. Don't respond. Don't let them know you see them or hear them. I know you. Here. I smell your fear. Smell? Good. Like me. The tent fabric moved. Something was touching it from outside, pressing against it. I could see the indentation. A hand, but not a hand. Too many fingers. Claws instead of nails. Come out. Want to see you. Want to wear your skin. I grabbed my radio. Tried calling for help. Got nothing but static. The thing outside laughed. A horrible sound, like breaking glass and crying children mixed together. No help. Too far. Just you. Just me. All night. It walked away from the tent. I heard it moving around my camp. Heard it going through my pack. Heard containers being opened, gear being scattered. Then I heard something worse. It was going through my clothes. My spare clothes from my pack. I heard fabric tearing. Zippers opening. And that humming again. Pleased. Satisfied. Then silence. Complete silence. No wind. No insects. No animal sounds. Nothing. I waited. Flashlight in one hand. Knife in the other. Like either would help against whatever was out there. At 3 a.m., I heard it again. But this time, the voice was different. This time, it sounded like me. Hello? Is anyone there? I'm lost. I need help. My own voice. My exact voice. Coming from outside the tent. Calling for help in the darkness. I sat frozen in my tent, listening to my own voice call for help in the darkness. The imitation was perfect. Tone, cadence, even the slight southwestern accent I'd picked up after years in Arizona. If I didn't know I was inside the tent, if I'd heard that voice on the radio or from a distance, I would have believed it was me. Please, someone help me. I'm hurt. I fell in the canyon. I can't move my leg. It was saying exactly what I would say if I was actually injured, using the right words, the right level of panic. It had studied me, learned me, and now it was practicing being me. The voice moved around the camp, sometimes near, sometimes far, always calling for help, always using my voice. And underneath the words, I could hear that humming again, that satisfied please humming. It was enjoying this, enjoying wearing my voice, trying it on like someone trying on a new coat. I didn't sleep, didn't dare. I sat in that tent with my knife and my useless flashlight and listened to that thing pretend to be me until the sun came up. At dawn, the sound stopped. I waited another hour, then carefully unzipped my tent and looked outside. My camp was destroyed, gear scattered everywhere, food containers torn open and emptied, but not eaten, just scattered, like a child having a tantrum. And my spare clothes were gone. All of them. Shirt, pants, jacket, boots, everything I'd packed as backup. And in the dirt near my tent, drawn with a stick or a claw, was a message. Come find me, with an arrow pointing up the canyon, deeper into the backcountry, away from the trail, away from safety. I should have packed up right then. Should have hiked straight back to headquarters. Should have reported what I'd seen and never come back to that canyon. But I didn't, because I was angry. Whatever that thing was, it had terrorized me all night, had destroyed my gear, had stolen my voice, and some stubborn, stupid part of me wanted to confront it, wanted to understand what it was and why it had targeted me. So I followed the arrow. I tracked it up the canyon. The tracks were insane. They started as dog tracks, four-pawed, normal. Then they changed, became two-footed, human-sized, but wrong. The toes were too long. The stride was too wide. And every few yards, there were drag marks, like something was being dragged between the footprints. I followed for about a mile. The tracks led to a small alcove in the canyon wall. A shallow cave, maybe 20 feet deep, dark, cool, sheltered from sunlight. And there, hanging from the ceiling, were skins. Animal skins. At least a dozen of them. Coyote, dog, deer, and others I couldn't identify. All of them prepared, tan, ready to wear, like pelts in a furrier's shop. But these weren't normal pelts. These still had the heads attached, still had the paws, still had the tails. They were complete skins, hollowed out, preserved with something that made them glisten in the dim light. And in the back of the cave, laid out carefully on a flat rock, were my clothes. My spare shirt and pants and jacket, arranged in the shape of a person, like a paper doll, waiting for its outfit. I heard movement behind me, spun around. It was standing at the entrance to the cave, blocking the light, but it wasn't in dog form anymore. Now it looked human, or mostly human, wearing the skin of a man, but the proportions were wrong. Arms too long, legs too thin, head tilted at an angle that should have been impossible, and it was wearing someone's face. Literally, a human face stretched over its own features. The edges didn't quite match. I could see where the skin ended and something else began. Could see the seams. The wrongness. You found me, it said, still using my voice, but more confident now. More practice. You, brave, or stupid. Both taste same. I backed into the cave. It followed, moving wrong. Joints bending in ways human joints shouldn't bend. What are you? I managed to ask. It tilted its head. The face mask slipped slightly, showing something underneath. Something with too many teeth. I was Navajo. Long time. Made choice. Did things. Got power. Lost humanity. Worth it. Why are you doing this? Why target me? Not target. You just here. Alone. Easy. And you smell right. Smell like good skin. Strong. Healthy. Want to wear. It reached for me. Those two long arms extending. Those wrong-jointed hands opening. I saw the fingers. 4 of them. Too many knuckles. Ending in claws that looked like they'd been filed to points. I did the only thing I could think of. I grabbed one of the hanging skins, a coyote pelt, and threw it at the thing's face. It recoiled, hissed, backed away from the skin like it was on fire. I ran, squeezed past it, out of the cave, down the canyon, running blind, not thinking, just running. Behind me, I heard it scream. Not a human scream, not an animal scream. Something between the two. Rage and frustration mixed with something else. Something that sounded like pain. Like the coyote skin had actually hurt it. I ran for 2 miles without stopping. My lungs burned. My legs cramped. But I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. When I finally slowed down, I looked back. Nothing. The canyon was empty. But I could feel it. Could feel something watching. Could feel its attention on me like physical weight. I made it back to my camp. Grabbed only essentials. Left everything else. Started hiking out immediately. Didn't care that I had 10 miles to cover. Didn't care that the sun was high and the desert was baking hot. I just needed to get out of that canyon, away from that thing. I was 5 miles out when I heard it again. My voice. But this time, it wasn't calling for help. This time, it was singing. A song I used to sing to myself while hiking. A song nobody else knew. A song from my childhood that I'd never shared with anyone. And it was getting closer. I started running again. The singing followed. Always the same distance behind me. Never getting closer. Never falling back, just maintaining that constant distance while singing my private song in my own voice. It was playing with me, showing me it had learned me completely. Not just my voice, my memories, my thoughts, things I'd never spoken aloud. It had somehow gotten inside my head and taken pieces of me. After 2 miles of running, I was spent, collapsed near a rock formation, trying to catch my breath, trying to think. The singing stopped. Silence. Then, from behind the rocks, maybe 20 feet away, tired? Should rest. I wait. Always wait. Time means nothing. You die today or tomorrow. Still get your skin. I looked around desperately. The sun was starting to set. Shadows were lengthening. And Joe's words came back to me. Never be out there after dark. Whatever you do, get back before sunset. But I was still 4 miles from headquarters, at least 2 hours of hiking, and the sun would be down in 1 hour. Then I remembered something else Joe had told me about protection, about Navajo traditions for dealing with these things. Cedar, he'd said, burn cedar, and cornmeal, make a circle. It won't cross that. I had cedar in my pack, a small bundle I carried for smudging campsites, a practice Joe had taught me to respect sites before entering them. And I had cornmeal, emergency rations I'd never touched. I pulled them out, used my knife to scrape cedar bark into a pile, used my lighter to ignite it. The smoke rose, thick and fragrant. Then I scattered cornmeal in a circle around myself, maybe 10 feet in diameter. Not sure if I was doing it right, not sure if it would work, but it was all I had. The thing emerged from behind the rocks, still in human form. Still wearing that wrong face. But now I could see more details in the fading light. Could see that the skin it wore wasn't its own. Could see the places where it had stitched the stolen skin onto its real body. Could see something writhing underneath. Something that wanted to break free. It approached the cornmeal circle, stopped at the edge, reached out one long finger hand, and touched the air above the line. There was a sound like sizzling meat. It jerked back, hissed. Clever learn from them, from the old ones. Won't save you. I wait. You have to leave sometime. It was right. I couldn't stay in this circle forever. I had water for maybe another day. No food, and no guarantee the circle would hold once the cedar burned out. But I had one other thing. One piece of knowledge Joe had shared after several drinks one night. Information he'd made me swear never to repeat. Information about how to actually kill one of these things. You have to name them, he'd said. Their real name, their human name, from before. If you can speak their true name aloud, you break their power, force them back into human form, and then they could be killed like anyone else. But how could I know this thing's name? How could I? Wait, the cave, the skins. This wasn't just any skinwalker. This was someone who'd been doing this for a long time. Someone who collected skins. Someone the Navajo would know about, would have stories about. I pulled out my radio. Tried again. Still mostly static. But this time I got something. A faint signal. Broken. Crackling. But there. Base, this. Thomas, emergency need. Joe Begay now. The response was fragmented. Copy, weak. Signal, say again, get. Joe, urgent, Skinwalker need information. Long pause. Static. Then Joe's voice. Faint. Broken. But recognizable. Thomas, were you? 5 miles out. Canyon Del. Muerto thing chasing me. Wearing skins full of them. Another pause. Then how many skins? Dozen, maybe more. Silence. Long silence. Then, old One very old, listen, careful name is... The signal cut out. I shook the radio. Tried again. Joe, I didn't get that. What's the name? Joe. Nothing. Dead air. Battery dying or signal lost. I didn't know which. The thing was circling the cornmeal line, testing different spots. Each time it touched the barrier, that sizzling sound. Each time, it pulled back and tried somewhere else. Joe told you my name? Broke. Sacred rule. We'll deal with him later. After I wear you. My radio crackled once more. Joe's voice. Clearer this time. Just 2 words before it died completely. Samuel Nakadoclini. I looked at the thing. It had frozen. Was staring at me with those wrong eyes. Waiting. I stood up. Spoke the name. Samuel Nakadoclini. I name you. I know who you were. I know what you became. And I break your power. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the thing screamed. The face it was wearing began to tear. To peel away. The human form collapsed. What was underneath writhed and twisted. Shrinking. Compacting. And then it was just a man. Old. Maybe 80 years old. Naked. Covered in scars and burn marks and tattoos that looked like they'd been carved into skin. Lying on the ground outside my circle. Looking up at me with hatred in his eyes. Human eyes now, but still evil. Still wrong. You broke the rule, he wheezed. Spoke my name. Now they will come for both of us. Who will come? The ones who police us. The ones who hunt us. You gave them my location. They will come. They will end me. But they will remember you. You who spoke the forbidden name. He died then. Just stopped breathing. The hatred faded from his eyes and left just a very old man who'd made terrible choices a long time ago. I left him there. Walked out of my circle. Hiked the remaining miles back to headquarters in darkness. Joe was waiting for me at the entrance. You spoke the name, he said. It wasn't a question. I had to. It was going to kill me. I know, and you had to survive. But Thomas, there are consequences. Others will know now. Will know you have knowledge. Will know you were involved. You need to leave. Leave Arizona. Leave the Southwest. Go far away and never come back. Joe, I'm serious. There are things out there. Not just skinwalkers. Other things. Protectors. Guardians. And they don't distinguish between someone who names a skinwalker to kill it and someone who becomes one. The name was spoken. The circle is broken. You need to go. I left 3 days later. Transferred to Washington State. Never went back to Arizona. Never spoke about what happened. Until now. The fire remembers what the living try to forget, and I only tell what it shows me. I'm 73 years old now. That was 28 years ago. But I still look over my shoulder. Still check my camps twice. Still carry cedar and cornmeal, even though I'm 2,000 miles from where it happened. Because Joe was right. Some circles, once broken, stay broken. Some knowledge, once learned, marks you forever. And sometimes, late at night, I still hear it. My own voice, singing that childhood song, coming from the darkness outside my cabin. Maybe I didn't kill it that day. Maybe I just wounded it. Maybe it's been following me all these years. Waiting, learning, practicing being me. Or maybe I've become paranoid. Maybe I'm just an old man who saw something terrible once and never recovered. Either way, I don't go out after dark anymore. I don't whistle at night. And I never, ever camp alone in the desert. Because skinwalkers are real. They walk among us wearing stolen faces and stolen voices. And once they've marked you, once they've learned you, they never forget. Stay out of the deep desert after dark, friend. And if you ever hear your own voice calling to you from the darkness, don't answer. And don't look back. Good night, V.